Our keynote speaker is a remarkable story of recovery, which I guess many of you know about, but more than that, he has really spent a lifetime of work being genuinely concerned with city and downtown development. His career as a downtown storefront lawyer, later on as a city councillor in the city of Vancouver, later on the mayor of Vancouver, and then later on a MLA representing his district, and later on premier of the province. He always had a strong and genuine focus on what was happening in downtown, not only downtown Vancouver, but also in downtown British Columbia. He has a lot of knowledge, and I'm sure you're going to give a nice round of applause to our keynote speaker, a very good friend of our community and someone who's going to bring you just an awful lot of good ideas. We've spent the last half a day, or actually since 6 o'clock last night, talking about what can be done, and you're going to hear a lot of good ideas from a fellow who really brings a lot of expertise to this conversation. Would you please welcome Mike Harcourt?
Well, thank you, Prince George. It's great to be back. Believe me, it's great to just be here. And please don't ask. I have a railing around my deck now. And if anybody thinks I want to go back into politics, my wife, Becky, has made it very clear, if I even have a nanosecond of relapse, she'll push me off the deck this time. You know, I don't know why we're wearing these hats. Let's get started, because it's out of date already. You are started. You are started. And more importantly, you're going to do it. And I want you to look ahead 5 or 10 years when you have a performing arts center right smack in the middle of your downtown. And you have a civic park just over on this side. And you have a permanent farmer's market that makes Granville Island look pale. And Jennifer, you do have your greenway and bikeway through the city, connecting up with your magnificent rivers. And think about 4,000 to 5,000 people living in the downtown. And nobody is homeless. And the capital of the North has done it once again. And you've done it before. I mean, I remember, boy, do I remember, the University of Northern British Columbia and all the effort that Murray Sadler and so many of you put in to making this now such a magnificent university. You can all be very, very proud of. And Bruce Strachan and I said that is not a partisan issue. Whoever gets elected in 1991 is going to pay $140 million of the BC taxpayers' money to build that magnificent university, and we did, because of you. Not only that, the whole damn hillside slid down just we're going to open it. You remember that? Some bloody engineers forgot about springs being beneath there. So the $300 million MLAs, as I call Lois Boone and Paul Ramsey, you want a university, you want a new courthouse, you want a convention center, and on and went. I said, what do you want now? They said, oh, we just want $10 million to fix up the road because we don't want Queen Elizabeth to get her shoes muddy when she's walking around up there, to open it up, right? So we just cut another check for $10 million, and away we went. Next thing I know, all of a sudden, you're pissed off because your doctors are leaving. And Michael puts on a brilliant speech, puts the government's feet to the fire, and says, I want to stay here. I don't want to make sure that when I operate in somebody's knee, there's an anesthesiologist there, and that people have family doctors. And by the way, why should our young people have to go down to Vancouver to become doctors or nurses or physiotherapists or lab technicians? We want our young people to stay in the North and to get their education in the North. So Once again, you did it. There's nothing to it. And you know, you got a downtown here that needs to get re-energized, and you need to reconnect with your burbs. You need to reinvent your suburbs, and you got to connect the two. And I think you're going to be able to do it because you're so proud of your place called Prince George, the capital of the North, 2/3 of British Columbia. I did a report, a small little report. We can get you electronic copies. It's called For Restless Communities, Resilient Places. I was asked by Prime Minister Paul Martin to do it, and I handed it in to Prime Minister Stephen Harper. And it said very simple things as we spoke to thousands of people across Canada in small places, in medium-sized cities like Prince George, and in Toronto and Montreal and across the country. And we realized how proud Canadians are of the place they call home. And we said, that's where we should start. We shouldn't make policies in Ottawa or Victoria. Just start here in Prince George. Absolutely. That's what we should be talking about. And you know, the solution for homelessness? A home. It ain't complicated, is it? It's a home where you got a key and you can lock the door and you can cook and you got a bathroom. You don't need to go down the hall. You got your own place. So I've seen Prince George so many times take these kinds of tough issues and take the vision that I gave you and turn it into a reality. So you're already started. And you got leaders. I met with a number of them last night. And you got an election coming up. And you're going to make it bipartisan because you're going to say to the candidates for mayor and for council, here's the kind of Prince George we want you to be in favor of, and we want you to jump in front of our parade because we want you to re-energize our downtown. And you know, it's not just here in Prince George, in my little city of Vancouver, where I was the mayor before I got demoted to being premier. We got some big problems. We got a gorgeous downtown that didn't have people living in it. We changed the zoning. We said we want people living in Falls Creek and Yaletown and in Cole Harbour and throughout the West End and throughout the downtown. We got 150,000 people living in our downtown now. But we got one place that we're not proud of, called the Downtown East Side. And we're like you. We're darn determined that it is not going to last for very much longer. It's going to change. It's going to change big time. And those 1,400 people who are on the street and who are homeless and the 1,000 people who are in the shelters are going to have a home. And the people who are the 300 to 400 chronic drug addict, pimp, B&E artist, car theft, crooks, we're going to give them offers they can't refuse. You either get cleaned up and change your ways, or you're going to jail. And that's what Judge Tom Gove is going to be doing with the community court. And you can do that with your provincial court here and bring in all the resources that are required to help people with their addiction, to help change to a different, healthier way of life. And on top of that, we're going to finally say to the Hells Angels and to the United Nations gang and to the gangsters in our community, this is not a good place to be.